Today we're going to disassemble, clean, lubricate, and reassemble a Ruger SR22. This is a rimfire 22 long rifle pistol. What we're going to use to clean this gun is just some simple stuff. I'm going to use some rags, which is actually a cut-up t-shirt. I'm going to use my favorite CLP, which is original gun oil. This is non-toxic, non-staining. I don't have to use gloves when I use it. I'm going to use a gun brush, any kind of brush, even a toothbrush will do. We're going to clean the barrel with a Boresnake. I'm going to use some Hoppe's number 9 gun bore cleaner, which is a really good solvent. I like to put it in a Menda pump dispenser. This pumps up just a little at a time and keeps the rest from getting contaminated. We're going to use cotton swabs, these dual-ended cotton swabs. They have a pointy end and a regular end. The pointy end's really good for getting into the slide cuts on a semi-automatic. Alright, so let's get started. First, always unload, make sure the magazine is out, lock the slide to the rear, make sure there's no rounds in the chamber. While the slide is locked to the rear, we're going to flip down the takedown lever, which is right here. Bring that down all the way. The Ruger SR22, grab the slide. We're going to go to the rear and lift up at the same time and allow it to slide off the front of the gun. Here you have your recoil spring and guide rod. These can also be separated for cleaning purposes. And that's all the disassembly that's needed. The barrel is a fixed barrel. You can take the barrel out if you need to. There's a screw under here, so you pull the barrel out. Okay, so now that we have the gun apart, basically all we're going to do is wipe it down. We're going to remove any debris, clean up any carbon. Then we're going to coat it with some CLP, original gun oil, just to let it work a little bit and clean up all the carbon deposits. Then we're going to do a very light lubrication, then we're going to put it back together. If you look real close here, you can see little pieces of lead, because the 22 ammunition that we were using is lead. It's not coated with copper, so it's going to leave little lead deposits in there. So we're going to get all that out of there. Same thing with the slide. It's not bad, but you can see it's starting to build up. So we're just going to wipe all that down. So I'm just going to start with a cotton cloth and just get all the bigger pieces of debris off of there. Real quick cleaning there. Real quick clean up the slide a little. Important to get this breech face here. I'm just going to put a drop or two of CLP in here. I'm just going to take the brush and kind of spread that around a little bit. The idea here is just to coat the surfaces with some cleaner and let it sit, kind of loosen up any extra dirt. Get a little cleaner there. I'm going to put a little cleaner on the guide rod. Just going to spread that around real good. Just put a little bit on the spring. I'm going to do the same here. I'm just going to put a drop right there. I'm going to put a drop in this area. I'm going to put a couple of drops right down the barrel. I'm just going to use a cotton swab to kind of spread that oil in there a little bit. Put a little bit more on there. I just want to get a little oil inside the barrel to let it start loosening up those deposits in there. Spread the oil around a little. Get down in there. Just a little coating of cleaner. Now I'm just going to let the cleaner sit for a few minutes and work. Alright, now that the cleaner has been sitting for a few minutes, I'm going to start with the slide. I'm just going to wipe the cleaner off as best I can. Next I'm going to use the brush to kind of force the cloth down into the little nooks and crannies in here and into the slide cuts. This really helps get down in all the little tight spaces. Any place that you still need to get in here, we use our cotton swab. Just clean all the surfaces that you can get to. Just keep using cotton swabs until you've cleaned it up real good. One really important place to check and make sure it's clean is right underneath this piece here. This is called the extractor. This is what removes your fired empty brass after a bullet is fired to get it out of the way for the next round to be loaded into the chamber. That is where it grabs the edge of the brass and extracts it from the chamber. So that's very important that it's clean. Also this area here, this is called the breech face. This is your firing pin that comes out and fires the round. So this area needs to be clean. You don't want to get any oil down in the firing pin area because that can bog it up and keep that pin from moving freely. So this looks like it's pretty clean. Okay, let's move on. We're just going to wipe the guide rod off real good. That's super easy to clean. Recoil spring, same thing. Just wipe it off And now the frame, we're going to do the same thing. Wipe it off with your rag first, best you can. Get the outside of the barrel. We're going to clean the inside of the barrel next. Okay, now use the brush to push the cloth into the tight areas and get down inside the grip. Do the best you can to get it nice and clean, and get your cotton swabs. Get in there in all the little places you couldn't get. Just get everything real nice and clean. Take your time here, make sure you get all the little spots. Try not to leave any strands of cotton from the cotton swabs down inside the mechanism anywhere. Take a cloth and kind of push it through the grip, and that'll get any dirt down inside the grip area. Alright, looks pretty clean. And now we're going to clean the inside of the barrel. Alright, there's a lot of ways to clean the inside of the barrel. I'm going to show you two ways that I typically use. We placed some oil in here earlier that loosened some of the dirt up. What I normally would do is just take a Boresnake. This one's a 22 caliber Boresnake, so this is the right size. We're going to run a Boresnake through the barrel a couple of times. Using a Boresnake is the quickest, easiest, and least messy way to clean your barrel. The Boresnake has copper brushes built into it, so that will help loosen any buildup that's in there. So we always want to put it through the same way the bullet travels. So you just drop it in. I'll do it this way. Just pull it through. It's going to be snug, which is good. Once the brushes go through, then the rest of this rope material is just going to really wipe everything nice and clean. I will typically run the Boresnake through 2 or 3 times and call it a day. Kind of see the edge of that barrel and how clean and shiny that is. So that's all you need to do. However, if you really want to give your barrel a super cleaning, this is another way to do it. This is called the rod and patch method. Okay, if you want to use the rod and patches method and solvent to clean the inside of your barrel, you're going to need a few extra items. You're going to need some kind of a rod with a jag or a loop like this on the end, a brush appropriate for 22 caliber. This hook should also be appropriate for 22 caliber. You're going to need 22 caliber size patches. You can get them in bags like this. And of course, your Hoppe's number 9, either right out of the bottle or you can put it in a dispenser like this. I'll link this down in the description, all this stuff. Some gloves would be a good idea. Make sure you have lots of paper towels. This method is messy, but it is going to do an outstanding job getting your bore clean. Alright, so to use this method, first you want to get a patch, put it through the loop here, get some solvent, pretty soaked with solvent. You want to put the hammer down. You have to put the safety on and put the hammer down so you can get a straight shot through the barrel. Alright, and then just gently push this through. Get another patch, repeat the procedure. All we're trying to do right now is soak the inside of the barrel with the Hoppe's number 9 solvent. Let it start doing its work. So after we do that, we're going to let it sit for a few minutes. Alright, while it's sitting, we're going to take the loop off and we're going to put on our 22 caliber bronze or copper brush. And after it's been a few minutes, you want to get a little bit of solvent on this brush. Gently but firmly push the brush through the barrel, in and out a couple of times. And this is going to really loosen up any of the dirt that's in there. After that, we're going to take this back off. We're going to put the jag back on, take another couple of patches, solvent on them, push a couple of patches through. We're going to put one more wet patch through here. Once we put a bunch of wet patches through, now we're just going to put dry patches through to clean everything up on the inside of the barrel until they come out perfectly clean. Alright, this looks pretty clean and pretty dry. Alright, I'm going to call it a clean barrel right now. I think we're done with that. Okay, now if you're not going to fire your gun for a while, or if you're going to store it for a little while, lastly for the barrel, you're going to want to put a very small amount of oil on a patch and just run it through the barrel one time, just to get the slightest little corrosion protection on the inside of the barrel. Now when you go to take it to the range, before you shoot the gun, take a dry patch and push it through there just to remove any of that oil residue. After you're done cleaning the bore, wipe away any solvent that you might have gotten onto the gun. All right, now we're going to lubricate the gun. You hardly need any lubrication for this gun. The user manual calls for a very light coating. Just put a drop, literally like one drop on a rag, and just kind of wipe down. Wipe these rails here. This is where the slide goes back and forth, and just kind of get some oil down inside and all the moving parts. Just a little bit like that. Maybe a little bit on the outside of the barrel, and also on the slide itself. Just a small amount. Just wipe the rails back here. Wipe down in here and inside this area. Kind of get all the external surfaces just with a little residue of oil, so all the metal against metal. Guide rod, quick wiping of that with a little. Maybe run the recoil spring through there, and that's about it. Now your gun is ready to be reassembled. To reassemble the Ruger SR22, first thing you want to do is make sure that your hammer is back. So to do that, you want to put the safety in the fire position, push the hammer back so that it is out of the way. Take your recoil spring and guide rod. The recoil spring has a smaller end and a slightly larger end. The smaller end goes onto the guide rod, and then there's a hole right underneath the barrel, and that is where that goes. Make sure that's seated right in the hole. Take your slide, line up the smaller hole in the front of the slide with the recoil spring, and line up the larger hole with the barrel, and then slide it on. Go back as far as it goes. Press down slightly, activate your slide stop lever to lock it so it locks back like that. Make sure the slide is nice and straight, lined up with the frame, and then take down the lever, goes back up, make sure that's all the way up, and now you can move the slide back, release the slide stop, and allow the slide to come forward like that. Now just work the slide a few times, make sure it feels right, and now put your safety in the safe position. Your hammer will decock automatically. It's also a decocking lever, and now you are good to go. Next, you're going to want to, at the very least, give your magazine a visual inspection, make sure it looks good, but I will have a video linked in the description for how to take the magazine apart and clean that up as well. Very important, your next step with your SR22 is to go through the function and safety verification. I'll put a link up here when that video is ready, and I'll link it down in the description as well. You want to go through that procedure to make sure your gun is put together properly and all the functions and safeties are working properly. Alright, if you like this video, please hit like below, please subscribe, and please check out the links in the description below. Thanks for watching.